Everyone seems obsessed with the idea of uploading your brain into AI right now. Feed it your courses, your content, your frameworks, your entire body of work, and suddenly you supposedly created an AI clone of yourself. In this episode, I want to talk about what AI can learn about you, but what it absolutely cannot replicate, and why I'm deliberately not uploading everything I know. I'm also going to share why I think your human judgment will actually become more valuable as AI gets better.
Welcome to the Intentional Money Show, where we talk business growth, profitability, mindset, and building a wildly successful creative or digital business without sacrificing your life in the process. I'm Clare Wood, business profit coach, speaker, author, and unapologetic believer that you can build wealth and freedom doing work you genuinely love. Each week on the podcast, we dive into the strategies and honest conversations that will help you scale sustainably, increase your profit, and build a business that actually feels good to run. Let's grow your profit.
There's a conversation that I'm hearing happening a lot in the online world at the moment about uploading your brain into AI. I've seen people talking about it in reference to Alex Hermosi and this idea that you put your body of work, your frameworks, your content, put it all into AI and create a version of yourself that you can access whenever you want or your clients can access. And look, I get why people are excited about this because I'm doing a version of this myself. I've uploaded modules from some of my course programs and some of my financial frameworks. And even my podcast episodes are increasingly being developed collaboratively with AI. So it's getting more and more familiar with the way that I naturally speak and the concepts that I teach, even the language that I use. Some of what AI can do now is absolutely mind blowing. Let me share an example. At the moment, I'm working on a project where I'm developing a body of work for an educational institution. So I have years and years of my IP and training material that I've developed. And in the past, if someone had asked me to go and create a body of work like this, I would have been literally digging through all of my old slide decks, searching for bits and pieces from this training and that training, and trying to remember which program I had put something into, then copying the bits and pieces across and rewriting it all together. In the past, this could have taken me weeks. And now what I can do is put select bits of my work in, give my AI tool, I'm using Claude at the moment, which I'm loving, giving it the context of what I'm creating, and it can identify the relevant pieces, bring it together, and give me a really solid starting point. And I use that phrase starting point for a reason because I would never just consolidate things together and throw it out there to a client. You still need to have that human lens across it. Sometimes there are human nuances that just get missed in the process. And here's why I disagree with the idea of uploading your brain. I have not uploaded my brain. I have uploaded some of my body of work. And these are two very different things. So there are things that exist in my courses, my podcasts, and my presentations that AI can absolutely learn from. It can learn that I like to explain a concept in a certain kind of way. It's starting to understand the phrases that I use and really see how I structure my trainings. It can understand the way that I talk about profit, cash flow, and there are certain concepts that I talk about again and again. But that isn't my brain. My brain is more than the 20 years of commercial and financial experience. My brain is about sitting in the room with a business owner and noticing that something doesn't quite stack up. It's hearing the way that someone talks about a problem and knowing that the actual problem is something a bit different. It's knowing that technically the numbers might say one thing, but commercially I wouldn't make that decision because there are other human things at play here, in or outside the business that could change the answer. And this is where intuition and context come into play. A lot of the things that I teach aren't proprietary concepts. I mean, profit and loss statements have been around a hell of a lot longer than I have. And I certainly didn't invent cash flow or balance sheets. It's not my intellectual property. And yet people say to me all the time, I finally understand this because of the way that you explained it. The Clare Wood energy matters. And equally, your intelligence, your intuition, your lived experience is something that AI can never replicate. Because information and expertise are not the same thing. And information and human connection aren't the same thing. And I think this distinction becomes even more important the better AI gets. Because sometimes it's so good that you start to forget that. But then you have these moments where you get reminded. And I'm sure you've all had this experience where a piece of content might be delivered, or perhaps you're a designer and you get a design created and you say, this is great, but it's kind of missed the mark here. And no matter how much you're articulating or recreating it, things are glitching, they're going back to something that you had already corrected or explicitly asked it not to do. And sometimes I sit here at my computer thinking, why? I literally told you not to do that. And this is one of the interesting things that I'm learning as I'm using AI more and more, is that access to information isn't enough. You still need to be able to articulate your brief properly. You need context, you need clear examples. And no matter how much you explain what good looks like, there's still these little nuances that are really hard to explain. I'm sure your experience has been the same as mine. The output is getting dramatically better, particularly as we are providing more and more context, building out skills, building out projects in our tools. But I still review everything myself personally. There's no way that I'm going to go and create something for a client and then just flick it off without even having a thorough read of what's been created. Because there are nearly always little things, a word I wouldn't use, a conclusion that is technically reasonable but not quite right. And sometimes I see things that are downright inaccurate. And this is why human expertise is becoming more important now than ever. You have to actually know what you're talking about to know whether AI is right. And there's another whole side to this conversation too, which is why I personally don't love the idea of indiscriminately uploading your whole brain. We're still in the early stages of figuring out how this all evolves. And I really do think you need to be very thoughtful about what information you are putting into any AI platform. I'm really selective about what I'm uploading. I'm certainly not uploading confidential client conversations and commercially sensitive documents. Just because you can, it doesn't mean that you should. Make sure that you really understand the security around the platform that you're using. Make sure that you're looking at your data settings and the version, and really think about what information is appropriate to share. You need to think about confidentiality seriously. The opportunity that's ahead of us here is enormous. But enormous opportunity doesn't mean abandoning common sense. So, no, I haven't uploaded my brain into AI. I don't want to, because the really exciting part of AI isn't creating an artificial version of myself. It's about giving the real version of myself leverage. It's about making things happen faster. I don't want AI to have a complete replicate of my brain, and you shouldn't either. Rather than asking, how can I upload my brain into AI? Ask yourself, how can I use AI to make the expertise I already have more accessible and more powerful? Because information is just that, information. Nothing will replace your humanness, your judgment, your experience, your energy. And so don't be giving your power away to AI.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of the Intentional Money Show. If you're ready for more profit, come find me on Instagram at Claire_Wood_coach. Thanks so much for tuning into the podcast, and I'll chat to you again next week.